different types of steps in Selenium test cases. Observe this one, Ramesh. Different types of steps in Selenium test cases. For writing Selenium test cases, Ramesh, we use different types of steps. In this topic, I am going to explain Selenium test case architecture. Test case architecture. Earlier we discussed the Java program structure, documentation section, import section, class definition, main method, etc. Java program structure. This time Selenium test case structure. I think we prepared 10 to 11 different test cases. I think all of you familiar with test case architecture. I am planning to explain all possible test steps in Selenium test cases. First one, important one, Selenium WebDriver. Selenium WebDriver test step. Selenium WebDriver test step. General navigation. For example, enter username. That is Selenium test step. For that we use driver.findElement, name of username dot sendkeys like statement. Enter password. Next, click login button. Like in this step, locating an element and performing the action on the element. Isn't it, Ramesh? Locating an element and performing action on the element. That is the structure of test step. Selenium WebDriver test step. Example, suppose driver dot find element of by dot suppose name of name locator value username. We open two round brackets, close two round brackets, dot send keys of suppose India at 1, 2, 3, 4 semicolon. This is one test step. Or suppose click on Gmail link in Google homepage, Ramesh. Driver dot find element, locate an element, suppose link text, T capital. Just a minute. By dot link text T capital of Gmail. Suppose Gmail dot click. No parameter required for this method. Earlier, I think yesterday's class, Vaibhav asked where is test data for login click. No test data required. Observe here, India at 1, 2, 3, 4. Parameter is there. For click, blank parenthesis. Why? Data not applicable. Input not applicable. Next.
The first one, syntax driver.findElement.
dot find element.
Small f and capital E. University. Second one.
Yes, good observation. Is it okay?
Small f. Driver.findElement.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Declaration statements. Declaration statements. In our test cases, we may use a declaration statement. Variable declaration. Suppose string line, int, iteration, etc. Next, writing comments. It is optional but best practice. Writing comments, optional, but best practice. For example, written the current page URL, etc. Next, Ramesh, Sharat, programming, code blocks statements. Programming code blocks we write, Sharat Chandra. You can write if code block. Earlier we wrote if code block for general condition also. If code block. Next, for or while loop block. Observe Ramesh, we used loop block in cross browser test case now. Next, method code block for creating reusable functions used in first test case. Today's first test case, batch test case. Next, constructor code block. Constructor, we didn't discuss constructor. In the next class, Monday, in Page Object Model chapter, we will discuss constructor code block. Constructor, similar kind of method, special kind of method, similar to method. Constructor code block. Next, any other code blocks we use in our test cases, Sharat Chandra? If code block, for or while code block, method code block, constructor code block. Next, we may use try catch code blocks now.
Sir.
Try catch code block Vijay for handling runtime methods. Okay na? This is fourth type. Here no sequence. Next, method calls. Generally, we prefer non-static methods na Vijay. How method call? Object dot method, next arguments available, not available, blank parenthesis. This is method call. Next, inserting verification points, one or more. Inserting verification points, Ramesh. Inserting verification points. Say, in these test cases chapters, I used flow control statements, conditional statements, for inserting verification points, but in real time, we use testing framework assert methods. Assert methods. Testing framework assert methods. For example, assert, it is testng class, assert dot assert equals next. Suppose expected email, comma actual expected Google actual. We are capturing page title. Just assume page title. It is variable name. Semicolon. Next, exception handling code. Exception handling code. Next, file handling. Next, important one we forgot. Next, wait statements, inserting, wait statements, one or more in your test case, inserting wait statements. Next, file handling. Ramesh, this is the test case, Selenium test case architecture. We use these commands for writing our test cases now.
Yes, sir.